What do women regret most about divorce? I find that women regret most about divorce that they didn't do it sooner. They hung in there. They stayed because they thought it was better for the children. They didn't want to deal with the financial repercussions, and they just didn't have the time or the emotional energy to do it. And guess what? They tell me then they wasted many good years of their lives sticking it out. So in contrast to what men regret most, women regret most not doing it sooner.
Hello, beautiful people. It's your girl Vicadi. Thank you for tuning in. How are you all doing? Today's video is another interesting one that will brighten your day. I hear people say marriage is a scam. Women are not prepared enough for what they are getting into. If you were to advise the younger generation about getting married, what advice will you give them? If you also have someone who is debating getting divorced, what advice will you give?
Marriage is a scam, and I'm going to tell you what I mean in a minute. Marriage is a scam because for most people, when you get married, you do not have a clue what you're actually getting yourself into. We're not prepared well enough for when we get married. I know I certainly wasn't given any information. I wasn't told what to expect. I was given like a 30-minute lecture after I was married by my parents. Too late, obviously. But in general, women just are not prepared. They're not prepared enough for what marriage is really like. And maybe there's a good reason for that. Maybe if you told people what marriage was like, they wouldn't want to do it. But what is scary about this is that women who are never married and who don't have a long-term relationship are somehow viewed as broken. They are made to feel like there's something wrong with them, like they've been rejected by the world. And they're given names like spinster. Spinster is a specific word designed for older women who have never been married. Can you imagine there's even a specific word? They're talked about in hushed voices. Oh, she never got married. Yeah, oh, poor thing. They're looked at with pity. People use sentences like, they've been left on the shelf. As if there's something wrong with, not marrying or not having a long-term relation. There's nothing wrong with it. And the important thing, this is really for the single women who feel, this age, I've never been married. All my friends are married. They have kids, blah, blah, blah. All of those thoughts. Because I know a lot of single women go through that. It's for you to understand something. Marriage is not the be-all and end-all. You don't have to be married to be happy. And the truth about it is that if you have an issue with yourself, if you don't love yourself, if you have self-worth issues, self-esteem issues, marriage is not going to fix that. Marriage will not fix that. And in fact, marriage to the wrong person is going to make that worse. Remember, there are a lot of marriages that are like prison. They're a prison cell. People want to get out, but they can't. They can't get out because finances, because they've got kids, because they've got to think about so many complicated issues. People are trapped in loveless marriages, in marriages that are dysfunctional, toxic, abusive. And I know it's human nature for us to want what we don't have. But I think it's important, if you're single, to understand that there's nothing wrong with you just because you are not married. And actually, you are independent and you can live life on your own terms. So instead of focusing on what you don't have, which is what we tend to do, focus on what you do have, which is independence, freedom, to live your life as you choose, to travel, to do whatever it is that you want to do. Marriage is not the be-all and end-all. It's just one way of living. You don't have to live in the same way as everybody else.
And now let me tell you this, for all you people that aren't married yet, please no, I don't care how long you've been in a relationship. Don't get married because you've been in a relationship for a long time. Don't get married because you guys started living together. Don't get married because the pastor said, God said this is your woman, this is your man. Please don't get married because of that. Don't even get married because you fell pregnant. Don't get married because you already introduced each other's family. Do not get married because of all of that. Don't get married because you feel like you're running out of time. Don't do it. Don't do it. For all those reasons and more. I see in my spirit that the Lord said, this is your husband. Don't. Until you know it, until you're sure, you don't do it. Oh, but Daisy, I told everybody and our parents have introduced each other and we've met. I don't care. Don't do it. Don't do it unless you're sure, right? Don't do it. Oh, I fell pregnant and now, that's what's expected. I don't care. Don't do it. Don't do it. Oh, we've been together for so long. We've been together for 5 years. I don't want to waste those years. Waste the years. Waste them. Because it's better than wasting the rest of your life, okay? Waste those 5 years. Let them be wasted.
It's been said before, but I'll say it again. Marriage isn't really good for women. Women don't benefit from being married to men. The comment section on this video is full of women who say this, happily married here, and I say this without weirdness, but if he dies first, and he knows this, LOL, I will not do it again. So many of the comments came from married women who claim to be happily married, who say they would never choose to live with a man again. And I think this speaks volumes about the dynamics that exist in our culture overall, right? When men get married, they expect their wife to take care of them, to cook for them, to clean for them, to take care of their children, to have children for them, and they go off and work. But in today's world, these women are also working. And so not only are they working full-time, but they are also expected to care for the home and the children and do exponentially more work in the home than their partner. And oftentimes these men have been raised without the information or expectation that they'll take care of the home themselves or take care of the kids. And so even when they try to help, they need a list. They need her to tell him what to do. And it's exhausting for women. It's been shown that marriage isn't actually good for women. Women who are single do better than men. Also, having children isn't really good for women, right? We have the wage gap, the motherhood penalty, and the fact that having children can put women at a higher risk of financial troubles in the future, right? Marrying men, living with men, and having children doesn't quote unquote benefit women in the same way it does men, which is why so many women say they would never do it again. And that's also why so many men remarry so fast.
So I've been married and divorced 3 times. And if I could say one thing about my experience, and I mean, you can take it or leave it, it's going to be this. Make sure that whoever you are dealing with, okay, whether it's, somebody you're dating, long term, short term, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, or whatever, make sure that wherever they are at that moment, and by that moment, I mean, if they don't lose any weight, if they don't get a better job, if they don't fix, the childhood trauma, if they got a cat and you don't like cats, wherever they are at that moment, if you cannot deal with that, if you're thinking about, oh, well, if they change this and they change that and, over time, then we'll grow to be, if they don't change a thing, is that somebody that you want to commit yourself to? See, what a lot of us, women especially, what we do is we connect ourselves to the potential that we feel a person has. And that potential doesn't always pan out. Sometimes we see something in somebody else that they don't necessarily get to realize or that they even see in themselves. But you gotta understand that you have to love people where they are. And if they're showing a bunch of red flags and a bunch of deal breakers now, you have to know that if you commit yourself to that person, you could potentially be dealing with that for the rest of your life if you're talking about marriage or long-term relationships. So ignore the potential. Just throw that shit away. Go ahead and take a look at where that person is right now. If that's somebody that you can see yourself with long-term until you leave this planet, then you commit to that person. But do not commit to somebody's potential, because that's not something that exists. It doesn't exist.
Hey y'all, sorry I looked a little tired and dry, but we had an emergency situation yesterday and I really didn't get no sleep. But anyway, I want to say this to y'all. When y'all go and decide to say I do or want to get married, I need y'all to understand everything that it entails. It ain't no fucking joke. It's past the rings and the weddings and the I do's. The shit gets real. Y'all understand me? Marriage gets real. And people always, it's just a piece of paper, it ain't nothing. No, that piece of paper has a lot to do with a lot. I'm gonna give you an example. So I had to take my husband to the urgent care because he had got sick yesterday. And the first thing they kept asking was, who is he to you? Who is he? Who are you? What's your name? Who are you? And I was like, oh, I'm such and such. I'm his wife. Oh, okay. Then you can stay in here and you answer these questions. But imagine if I wasn't his wife, or I was just his girlfriend, or I was just his little friend that's been there for a long time. You wouldn't be able to have any say-so in that person's care or anything to do with that person's health. And when I tell y'all marriage is a lot. And y'all really got to think about it. Y'all really have to think about it, right? If you're going to be with somebody long term, you need to go and get that piece of paper. You need to go get that ring. You need to go get those things, because if anything ever pops off, you need to be able to make those decisions, those hard decisions, okay? You don't need his mama making those decisions. You don't need his kids making those decisions. You don't need his grandmama making those decisions. You don't need his daddy making those decisions. You need to be able to make those decisions for him, especially if you've been with somebody over 4 or 5 years. It's very important that you get that piece of paper if you've been with somebody for 4 or 5 years and you truly love him and want to be with him. And he's telling you, oh, it's just a piece of paper. No, it's not a piece of paper. It's past a ring. It's past a piece of paper. It's a contract that needs to be had, because it's important when it comes to medical or anything. Okay, let's get past that situation, because I don't want to make this video long because you hear my voice. Being a wife and a husband is more than a ring and more than a dress, more than a wedding. And people don't understand that. Y'all always see the glamorous videos of weddings. You see the glamorous videos of the rings. You see the glamorous videos of the dresses. You see all the happy times. But you don't see when the person is sick and you got to sit there and hold their hands. You don't see when finances are difficult and y'all got to work together. You don't see when the kids are acting up and we got to come together to make things work. You don't see the struggle times, because on social media, people only highlight their lives. They don't show you what marriage what it really is. Marriage is a partnership that you will have to be willing to work through. And sometimes it's tough. Sometimes it's hard. So when you say that you do, you really gonna have to mean that shit, because shit gets hard. It's times when your husband or your wife may be sick and you're gonna have to make those tough decisions. It's gonna be times that finances ain't easy for y'all, and you're gonna have to figure out how you're gonna feed these kids. There's gonna be times where y'all trying to keep a roof over y'all head. There's gonna be times where y'all not seeing eye to eye with y'all children's upbringing. So when you say that you do, make sure this is with the right person, because it's more than just it's more than dresses. It's more than a ring. It's a fucking forever partnership. It's forever friendship that you're going to be in forever, unless you get a divorce. But I want y'all to think about that stuff before you walk and say I do, because life be lifing in these marriages. Life be fucking lifing. And I was just looking at my husband the other day, and I was like, yo, like, we've been through some shit, and we done got through some shit, and we good. Like, you my fucking dude. Like, you my ride or die, right? We are here. But I realized marriage is not easy. I thought when I was married, when my first marriage, it was a piece of cake. But when you have a situation that you love and you want it to flourish and you want to continue to work on, that shit ain't easy. It shit ain't easy. I had one of my homegirl asked me the other day, do you regret getting married? And I was like, hell no. I'm not regretting the situation. I love my husband, and I love every trial and tribulation we go through. And I appreciate it because it brings us together. And sometimes, y'all, I don't know who needs to hear this. I love saying that because I know nobody needs to hear it. But sometimes you got to cut outside the outside noise. That means mommies, daddies, and friends, and just focus on your marriage. Focus on y'all. Because it's just y'all two. Remember that. Marriage is past a piece of paper and a ring. It's a forever a partnership. And life gonna life in your marriage. No matter how much you think it's not. And no matter how much love y'all think y'all got, life is going to try your marriage. And I'm not talking about cheating and stuff like that. It may be health, it may be finance, it may be kids. But life is going to try your marriage. So all I can say is, be ready. And have your foundation in that ground, baby. And don't let nobody come between y'all. So congratulations to everybody that's getting married. Congratulations to everybody got over the hump. And have a happy, blissful life in marriage, y'all. Peace.
So the other day, my husband, who I've been married to for 17 years, but am now going to be divorcing, told me that marrying me was the biggest mistake he's made in his life. And I responded to it with like sarcasm and kind of snark, like me, like marrying me, I'm the biggest mistake that you've ever made. Because that's how I usually have responded to those types of comments that he makes over the years. But later on, afterward, I kind of sat in my room and I actually cried. I cried about it, like sobbed, actually. And I thought to myself that this is actually a good sign, because I have spent so many years in our marriage listening to comments like that. You know, you've ruined my life. You took all my money. You're the worst person. And I've like numbed myself to it over the years. Like I just kind of numbed myself or made excuses like, oh, he's just stressed. He's angry, or he's, you know, going through a lot. And I just kind of went along with it and but to get through it, I just kind of had to numb myself. And I guess in a way, like had to diminish my own humanity to not let these things get to me so I wouldn't like fall apart. You know, I had 2 kids to raise, a family to keep going. Like I couldn't afford to be hurt. You know what I mean? Now that I don't want to be married anymore, I am really telling myself that it's time for me to reclaim my humanity. And that means that there's going to be things that are going to be said to me that are going to hurt me. And I'm going to go ahead and like absorb that hurt. I'm going to feel the feelings. I'm not going to make excuses. I'm not going to intellectualize. I'm just going to feel it. Let my emotions freely flow. And if that means I cry, I cry. If that means I get angry, I get angry. I'm going to feel again. I'm going to be a human being again. And that's probably one of the things I'm looking forward to in this entire process is I just want to be a person again.
I was married for 24 years. I got married 2 weeks before I turned 20. We had 3 children together. And when I got a divorce 24 years later, it took a lot to get me there. It took a lot of pain to get me to the point of willing to divorce. I endured, I suffered, I begged, I pleaded, I tried. I read all the books. I went to therapy. And I still stayed 10 years longer than I should have. And when I finally pulled the trigger and I finally ended that marriage, you know why I did it? Not because of me. Not because I knew that I deserved better. Not because I knew that I was dying in that marriage. My health was suffering. I had autoimmune issues. I had depression. I was overweight. Not because of any of those reasons or because I just wanted to be happy. Because my kids were being affected. That's why I left. When I saw that my kids were being traumatized by the behavior, that's when I found the courage to leave. And you know what? I had a conversation with my daughter the other day and she said, Mom, what? I'm mad that you didn't leave sooner. I'm mad that you didn't do it sooner. And she's right. She's right. I should have, and I didn't. The pain of staying had to get so bad. The fear of change was no longer as big as the pain, right? The pain of staying got bigger than the fear of the change. And that's when generally the human condition is, that's when we leave. We need a crisis. And unfortunately, that's what happened to me. And women are much more likely to endure the suffering for themselves. But as soon as the kids are involved, we get all mama bear and we'll do it. But I don't want that for you, because what I learned from that was very valuable. What I learned was, it's not noble to suffer for the rest of your life because you're scared of making a different choice. It's not righteous to stay in an abusive, toxic, dysfunctional relationship. And staying for the sake of the kids when it's like that, you're lying to yourself. It's bullshit. I was lying to myself that I could hide it from the kids, that I could protect them, I could be the buffer. No, you can't, and they are being damaged. And I have to now I have to take responsibility for the impact I had by staying too long. The impact I had on my kids by staying too long. And I'm taking responsibility for that, and I'm learning. You can relate to this. What I want you to hear from my story is this. You know, in your intuition, your gut, you know you need to leave. And you're staying because you're scared. You're staying because you're scared of disrupting the family, of the conflict, of looking like the bad guy, of guilt, of finances, of whatever. But that fear is keeping you in denial, and it's making you tell yourself that it's all okay, that you can do it, you're strong. You need to tell yourself the truth and wake up to the reality of what's really going on and how it's really affecting your kids and what needs to happen. And then you need to get the support that you need in order to make that decision. When I started working with a coach, it gave me the support and the courage to actually leave my marriage. You need to stop being in denial and stop telling yourself that you can do it, you're strong, it's going to be fine, you're staying together for the kids. No, if your gut is telling you, you got to go, you got to go. And that means you got to figure out how to go. And that means you probably need support. Don't stay 10 years too long like I did. Don't do it. Because if I could go back and do that over, I would have been out of there way sooner. And I would have had way more time to build my new life. And my kids wouldn't have had to go through more trauma. So this is my message to you, because I wish I had had somebody say that to me back when I was, 35 years old, stuck in a shitty marriage, being cheated on, being abused. I wish I had had somebody say this to me. Wake up to what's really going on. Tell yourself the truth about what's really happening, and then decide that you are going to start getting support now before you get to a crisis point. That you're going to start working on yourself now to build yourself up now so that you can make that challenging decision. Because honestly, that choice to leave takes about 10 seconds of insane courage. That's it. Everything else is worrying about the decision. What's going to happen after. But saying it out loud, I want a divorce and I'm going to figure it out and I'm out of here, 10 seconds of insane courage. Everything else will be figure outable. Everything else will figure itself out. But delaying that conversation is just keeping you in stress. It's keeping you suffering. You don't need to do that. So tell yourself the truth. Get real with what's going on and get support. And if you want that support, I am here for you. You know how to find me. You can go to the link in my bio. You can see all the ways you can work with me and get support. I have free support. I have all sorts of levels of support. There is no reason why you can't have support. Take responsibility for yourself. Take responsibility for your life. Take responsibility for your happiness. Get the support. There is no reason why you can't have support here. And trust that as you do that and you work on yourself and you work on focusing on you, figuring your shit out, figuring out how to make that challenging decision that you know you need to do, that you've been putting off. Let's go, because life is short. You only get one life. And I want you to live the life that you're meant to live. And I want you to find out how capable you truly are, how powerful you truly are. And I am here to help you do that, because I know that's the truth about you. So let's go.
You know, the main reason why I don't want to be married anymore is because the way that I've been able to make my 17-year marriage work all of these years is by compromising myself. Compromising what I think, compromising about what I value, compromise what I want, compromise the type of relationship that I want to have. Everything has been a compromise, but the compromise has been on my part, me adjusting, changing, doing things differently to please my partner and to make the family as a whole work. And I just know that it's just not the right thing to do anymore. But on the other hand, it's really scary thinking that I'm going to be 52 years old out there living by myself with my kids, trying to make it in this economy. I don't have an education. I never went to school. I didn't have a career or anything like that. There was no plan B. This was always the plan. You know, be married, stay married, raise a family, and just stay together and make it work to the end. I'm taking a huge risk, and sometimes I question whether it's the right thing to do. But I know the reason why I'm questioning is because I'm so used to compromising myself. I'm so used to putting myself last. I'm so used to just making myself disappear so I can be in these roles, wife, mother, whatever, and somehow hopefully make other people happy, and that'll be my life. But that's not the right way to live. I want to find a different way of living. And I have a lot of regret that I've waited so long and I'm doing it now at 52. I don't have youth. I don't have, all of the optimism. I don't have years and years in front of me. I don't really even have the time to kind of wait on it or waste. I mean, I don't have a ton of time. I mean, if I don't do it now, when will I ever do it? When will I ever be comfortable in my own skin? When will I ever feel proud and happy and like myself? When will I ever be in a situation like that again, unless I go out there and try to take it for myself? It's pretty scary, but I have a feeling that it's going to be worth it. I think it's going to be worth it.
If you got a divorce and all of a sudden your life is amazing, it's not because you got rid of your husband or wife. It's because you started to do things that make you happy. You started working out, dressing better, hanging out with friends. You started to have a life. So it's not the other person's fault. It's your fault. The only reason that you're unhappy in your marriage is because you're not doing these things in your marriage. Everybody waits until after they get a divorce to start living their life. Well, my question to you is, why are you waiting until after the divorce? Start living your life today. Do things that add to your cup today.
Thank you for tuning in, guys. Drop your thoughts, advice, experience, tips in the comment section. This is a community where we have rich conversations, okay? So subscribe, like, and share this video. I'll see you all in my next one.